The Rickey Smiley Morning Show.
It's the front page news.
It's what's trending now.
With the election finally certified, people are now wondering what legal trouble President Donald Trump will face once he leaves office, once he leaves the White House in January. On the line right now, y'all give it up and give a warm Rickey Smiley Morning Show welcome to New York Attorney General Letitia James.
Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Attorney James. How are you this morning?
I'm fine. Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming on. There's a whole lot of speculation that the president will pardon his children for any laws broken before leaving office. But the question is, what will happen to him? Now,
as you know, I've got a current investigation against the president and the Trump organization. As an independently elected attorney general of the great state of New York, last year after his lawyer, Michael Cohen, testified before Congress, my office opened up an investigation into the financial dealings of the Trump organization. And that investigation continues today. And we're looking into whether or not the president, based on his annual financial statement, whether or not he inflated his assets, his property, for the purposes of getting a favorable loans and insurance coverage. And at the same time, he deflated those same assets to reduce and or avoid or evade real estate taxes. And when it comes to pardoning, I suspect, he will pardon members of his administration, his friends, associates, family members, but all scholars and everyone agrees that he cannot pardon himself. And so the thought is that he might step down prior to his exit, and Vice President Pence will pardon him. But based on changes in the law in the state of New York, I was able to introduce a bill in New York which would close a loophole in the law, which would not allow him and or his family members and or associates to avoid criminal prosecution in the great state of New York.
Oh, wow. Do you think this is why Attorney General Barr is resigning?
I can't speak to why Attorney General Barr resigned. He should have resigned a long time ago. He serves as the personal attorney for the president, as opposed to serving as the attorney for the American people. We have not had any enforcement in the civil rights space. The Civil Rights Bureau has been around for a very long time, and we've not had any enforcement. No investigation, pattern, and practice of police abuses. Nothing at all in the in the space of voting rights. We've done nothing with respect to voting rights issues, suppression of votes by people of color, I should say, and issues of human rights. Basically, the Department of Justice has been missing in action, and it's been primarily up to state attorneys general such as myself, and I would argue Democratic state attorneys general, who have been doing most of the work standing up and defending our democracy. And we have been winning in 85% of our cases. Between New York and California and some other progressive states, we've been leading the charge, protecting reproductive rights, protecting immigrants, protecting the census, protecting our environment, standing up against voter suppression, and the list goes on and on and on. We need a attorney general, and I'm confident that President-elect Biden and my dear friend and my sister from Howard, the Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, will step up and appoint an attorney general who understands what justice is all about.
That's right. Well, Attorney General Trump and Ivanka have said that they feel as though New York is harassing them unfairly. Are the consulting fees that Ivanka received from Trump illegal, do you think?
Listen, the politics of my office stop at the door. As an attorney, I am duty bound to present facts and evidence before the courts. And so this is based, again, on the testimony of Michael Cohen, a significant a number of the assets that this president and the Trump organization holds are in the state of New York. I have an obligation and a duty to investigate allegations of criminality and allegations of civil wrongdoing, and that's exactly what we are doing. There's no politics here, none whatsoever. It's nothing but the rule of law. It's something, unfortunately, that the Trump administration and the president himself and members of his family do not recognize. They think they're above the law.
Right. So speaking of above the law, this is the question I think millions of people want to know. So potentially, could Trump and his children do time for crimes done in the state of New York?
Potentially, but it's important that we uncover those crimes. And right now, my investigation is civil in nature. Now, there is a parallel investigation that is currently being conducted by the District Attorney of Manhattan, and his investigation is criminal in nature. My investigation is civil. And in the event that we uncover any criminal activities, then that would change the posture of our case. We would get a criminal referral from the governor, and we would pursue it on a criminal basis.
So y'all pretty much gonna have him so tied up with legal stuff he won't be trying to run in 2024. That's wow. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. I'm so excited that you came on this morning. The other question, the last one I wanted to ask was earlier this week that you actually had a judge overturn a ruling and grant you the communication records from Trump and his team with Ralph Master. I can't pronounce his last name. Mastromanso. Why is that such a big victory for you?
Because the members of the Trump organization, as well as members of the family, have basically served as obstructionists. We had to file a motion to compel. And a motion to compel means they refused to hand over certain documents. In the past, they refused to come before us for testimony. And so as a result of their refusal, we had to go to a court and file a motion to compel that they turn over these documents and or cooperate with our investigation. And in both cases, when Eric Trump basically said that he was too busy with the campaign, the reality is that the judge said that the campaign and external factors had no bearing on our investigation, that our authority was pretty much varied and was extensive, and it was really critically important that we continue our investigation regardless of any election. And with regards to this most recent individual who worked for the Trump organization, who basically said that the documents that he had in his possession were subject to a privilege, that he was entitled to withhold them because they were confidential documents. That too was unfortunately an excuse, and the judge decided that in fact there was no privilege attached to these documents, and therefore they should be handed over to the Office of Attorney General. And that is why that was so significant, because we are beginning to uncover all of the layers and find out and determine exactly what was going on in the Trump organization. Did they, in fact, evade the law for purposes of paying taxes? Did they inflate it for the purposes of getting favorable loans and insurance coverage? Our investigation continues.
Wow. We are talking to New York Attorney General Letitia James. Thank you so much. How can people follow you if they want any information on this case or whatever? How can people follow you?
So, again, the New York State Attorney General, you can Google me. I have a Twitter account. Again, it's Letitia. It's Letitia James at newyork.ag.gov. We are very accessible. We release a lot of information about this investigation whenever we are successful in court, and the investigation is ongoing whether or not he's president or not.
There it is, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We know you got a crazy schedule, and we really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the Attorney General of New York, Letitia James. Thank you. Have a blessed morning.
Have a blessed morning. Thank you.